In my dorm room, my mortifying incident was discovered by my cold roommate. Yeah, the unbelievable secret that I can lactate, but instead of making fun of me, he promised to help me keep it a secret. But just as I started to trust him, he started sneaking into my bed. He shoved my pajama shirt into my mouth and said, "Bite down, if you cry again, I'll..." My pajama shirt was soaked. I helplessly opened my eyes, realizing I had to change again. I quietly climbed down from my bed. My other roommates were still gaming, so no one noticed me. I quickly grabbed a new t-shirt from my closet and was about to head to the bathroom. Just then, the dorm room door opened, and a cold, handsome guy walked in. Even though we weren't close this campus heartthrob and I had spoken before, so I stopped and greeted him. "Gu Hao, you're back." "Yeah," he replied, his gaze landing on my chest. "Why's your shirt so wet?" I tried to cover it and forced a laugh. "I just spilled some water." "Is that so?" Gu Hao raised an eyebrow at me. "But why? Do I smell milk?" I tried to keep my smile up. "Oh, I probably just spilled some milk I was drinking. Anyway, Gu Hao, you should go get changed. I'm feeling kinda hot, and was about to shower, so just a sec." After saying that, I rushed into the bathroom. He was silent for a moment before walking off. I pressed my lips together, looking at myself in the mirror. My chest was soaked, and the faint smell of milk hung in the air. I turned on the exhaust fan. I felt awful. Why was I lactating? I already went to see a doctor, but they said it was nothing to worry about, and that I just needed to take medicine for a while. But 2 weeks have passed, and my condition hasn't just not gotten better, it's actually gotten worse. Every day I have to change my shirt. Twice. I've already gone through 2 bottles of laundry detergent. I have to keep making excuses about spilling milk or taking constant showers to hide it. Luckily, my other roommates haven't suspected a thing, but Gu Hao is tough to deal with. He's just too smart. Every time my condition flares up, his eyes always seem to glance my way. I'm terrified he'll figure out my secret. I sighed, turning on the shower and wondering when this condition of mine would finally go away. After my chest went back to normal, I stepped out of the bathroom. Gu Hao was just walking past with a change of clothes. He didn't say anything, just briefly glanced at my chest. "All done washing up?" "Yep, you can go shower, there's still plenty of hot water." I smiled, "Okay." Our shoulders brushed as he walked into the bathroom, but then he suddenly stopped. I panicked. The smell of milk couldn't still be in there, right? I already turned on the vent. After all. While I was worrying, Gu Hao turned to look at me. "By the way, you forgot something." "Something?" I tilted my head. I then saw my wet, short-sleeved pajama shirt on the sink counter with a dried milk stain on it. I'm so screwed. I rushed back, balled up the shirt, and threw it into my laundry basin. "Sorry, I forgot to wash it, just left it there for a sec. I'll wash it later. You go take your shower. I'm gonna go lie down for a bit." I quickly left the bathroom. Gu Hao didn't ask anything else, acting like nothing had happened. As the shower started running, I lay in my bed, totally anxious. Even though I knew Gu Hao wouldn't touch my dirty clothes, I was still worried he might figure something out. Luckily, not long after Gu Hao came out of the bathroom holding 2 freshly washed shirts. I squinted to get a better look. That looks kind of familiar. I looked again. Wait a minute, why does that look exactly like my dirty pajama shirt? I quickly pulled back my bed curtain. "Gu Hao, why do you have my pajama shirt?" Gu Hao looked at me. "I was doing some laundry, so I washed yours for you too." "You washed it for me?" My jaw dropped and my mind went completely blank. He was still totally calm. "Yeah, the milk you spilled was a little hard to get out since it had dried, so I had to scrub it a bit. By the way, what kind of milk do you drink? It has a really unique smell." I tried to stay calm. "It's nothing weird. It's pretty sweet." He looked at me, his dark eyes seeming to hold a hidden meaning, but it could have also just been a casual comment. I was blushing to the tips of my ears. "It's just the strawberry milk from the supermarket downstairs, nothing special. If you like it, I can give you a carton to try." "No need, I'll buy some myself tomorrow." I smiled sweetly. "Okay, remember to buy 5 at once to get the discount." Gu Hao replied, and turned to hang the clothes. After thanking him again, I quickly pulled back and closed the curtain. I couldn't help but peek through the gap, watching his back. It seems like Gu Hao didn't figure anything out. Just the thought of this perfect guy using his long, elegant hands to wash the milk stains from my shirt, and even saying it smelled really sweet. My scalp tingled, my ears felt hot, and my heart was pounding. What is going on? That night, I had all sorts of chaotic dreams. In one, Gu Hao discovered my secret, and his face was filled with disgust. Then I'd see him coldly washing my clothes. In another dream, a guy pointed at my chest and said he wanted to taste the strawberry milk, his eyes filled with a hunger that looked like he wanted to devour me whole. I whimpered in fear. Overall, the dreams were a total mess. When I woke up, I was blushing as I looked down at my chest. Thank goodness it hadn't acted up today, but it did feel a little tight and uncomfortable. Well, uncomfortable is one thing. As long as it doesn't start leaking in the middle of class, I'll be fine. I really don't want to have to bring a change of clothes to the men's restroom again. Maybe because my prayers were so sincere that whole day I didn't have any problems. It wasn't until I was on my way back to the dorm that I felt my chest getting a little damp. No big surprise there, I could definitely hold out until I got back. I lowered my head and walked faster. Just then my roommate Zhuang texted, saying they were pulling an all-nighter at an internet cafe and wouldn't be back. I glanced over at Gu Hao playing basketball surrounded by a crowd of girls he probably wouldn't be done for a while. As expected, handsome guys like him are always busy. Anyway, since none of my roommates were around, it looked like I wouldn't have to hide in the bathroom to clean up today. I walked with a spring in my step, feeling cheerful, not noticing that one particular guy in the crowd was secretly watching me walk away. When I got back to the dorm, I closed the door, drew the curtains, and took off my shirt. Maybe because I'd been holding it in all day this time. It was pretty bad, a lot came out all at once, and it happened really fast. The sweet smell of milk started to fill the clean air in the dorm. I sniffed. It almost smelled like strawberry milk. But this time I didn't rush to wipe it away, I just let it run its course. Finally, I had the chance. I decided to let it go wild just once, so I just let it flow. As a result, it went way overboard, and soon my whole front was covered in milk. When I felt okay, I blushed and grabbed some tissues. Man, I've been sick for so long, I'm used to this. To the cleanup, but every time I deal with this, I can't help but blush. My heart races and I start panting like I'm doing something I shouldn't be. As I was in the middle of this embarrassing cleanup, I suddenly heard the sound of a key in the lock. With a click like the Grim Reaper unlocking the door, I snapped my head up, my face drained of all color. Why is someone back? I thought everyone was out. I frantically grabbed my shirt, trying to hide my secret. But just as my fingers brushed against my shirt, the door swung wide open. He must have just come from playing basketball because his usually cool, handsome face looked a bit tired. He stood in the doorway looking at me, his gaze sweeping over the pile of tissues. At my feet, then up to my deathly pale face. My throat went dry and I swallowed hard. Finally, his gaze settled on my chest where a suspicious amount of sticky milk still clung to my skin, something that definitely shouldn't be on a guy's chest. Then Gu Hao spoke up. Muran, is that your strawberry milk? You know how they say some people are living but they're already dead? Well, at that moment I was half dead, completely terrified. I didn't dare move and had no clue how to explain any of this. Under Gu Hao's stare, my condition spiraled out of control again, and even more leaked out, making me look like a total mess. I was so tired of this. I just closed my eyes. It's over. It's all over. Just as I was imagining my life being ruined and picking which campus building to jump from, Gu Hao finally moved. He shut the door and walked over to stand right in front of me, looking down at me. He studied me with a deep, unreadable gaze. Gu Hao was already tall and had this cold, distant air about him, so having him stare me down like that felt incredibly intense. I couldn't guess what the campus hottie planned to do, and I was too scared to make a wrong move. I just nervously opened my mouth. Gu Hao, can I please explain first? You can. I rushed to say, first of all, I swear I'm not a pervert or some kind of freak. So please don't misunderstand. I'm just sick, okay? I have an illness. Right, an illness. I scrambled to pull out my medical records, my medicine, and the doctor's diagnosis to prove I was telling the truth. Oh, look. The doctor said this illness causes me a guy to suddenly lactate, but as long as I take my medicine on time, I'll be normal again after a while. So Gu Hao, you can't tell anyone about this. Right, I'm begging you? I looked at him hopefully, waiting for his judgment. Gu Hao nodded. Don't worry. For real. Then he calmly handed me a pack of tissues. Wipe it off. If it dries, you'll have to take another shower. I took the tissues, asking in surprise. So you don't think I'm a freak? Gu Hao ruffled my hair. Nope. You just have a strange illness. Muran, don't worry, I'll help you. Keep this a secret, so don't be scared. It felt like a massive weight had been lifted from my chest. I grabbed his hand excitedly. Thank you so much, Gu Hao. You're an amazing person. If you ever need anything, I'll help you no matter what. But because I was too excited, my condition acted up again, and a few drops splattered onto Gu Hao's expensive sneakers and his pants. I was so happy I didn't even notice, but Gu Hao glanced down, his expression becoming dark. He pulled his hand back, his voice suddenly husky. Okay, I'm gonna go shower. You finished cleaning up. You should probably wash up properly later, too. Yeah, okay, you go ahead. Gu Hao was a total neat freak with a cool personality, so every time he got back to the dorm, the first thing he did was take a shower, so I didn't think anything of it. Once he was in the bathroom, I kept cleaning up, feeling super relieved. He didn't think I was gross and even offered to help me keep it a secret. He's the best. But just as I was about to finish, Gu Hao still hadn't come out of the bathroom, and I could still hear the shower running. I gave the closed bathroom door a suspicious look. Was he really that sweaty from basketball today? In any case, Gu Hao's kindness made me feel so much better. It actually felt pretty good to have someone know my secret and still be trustworthy. That's why I decided to treat him to a few meals as a thank you. You know what they say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And besides, Gu Hao was already pretty quiet and cold. If I was nice to him, he'd be even better at keeping my secret. As I was wondering what kind of food to get him, the bathroom door finally opened. Gu Hao's face looked a little off, like he was displeased about something. He seemed frustrated, like he couldn't get what he wanted, and he looked cold and kind of intense. But the moment his eyes landed on me, that look instantly disappeared, replaced by a calm expression, maybe even with a faint trace of gentleness. You should go shower. Oh right, let me just throw these tissues away and I'll hop in. Gu Hao reminded me calmly. I think the hot water's almost gone. I had no choice but to get up. Well, can you wait a minute? Then I want to take you out to eat after my shower, is that okay? Sure. I gave him a sweet smile and rushed into the bathroom. I expected it to still be full of hot steam, but surprisingly it was cool inside. Gu Hao was in here for so long, but he used cold water. Isn't he worried about getting sick? Well, I could just give him some cold medicine later. That would give me another excuse to be nice to him, and make sure he kept my secret safe. I turned on the shower and started carefully planning my next steps as I washed up. But then it hit me I forgot to grab a change of clothes. So leaving the water running, I turned and stepped back outside. The noise from the shower covered the sound of the door opening. The second I stepped out, I saw Gu Hao staring intently at the pile of tissues I'd just used and thrown aside. Since I had just used them. Not long ago, the tissues were still completely soaked and piled up so high they were almost spilling over. A faint milky scent lingered in the air. Gu Hao's head was bowed, his gaze lowered. I had no idea what he was thinking, but I saw his Adam's apple bob like he was extremely thirsty. Gu Hao, you okay? I asked, curious. His eyelid twitched and he turned to me with a normal expression. It's nothing. I was just wondering where to throw out these tissues you used. I got a little embarrassed. I was just about to throw them in the trash. Don't touch them, they're gross. They're not gross. I'll help you clean up so we can go eat faster. Oh well, thanks then. No trouble, go take a shower. Thinking he was probably hungry, I didn't want to delay, so I quickly grabbed a change of clothes and went back to the bathroom. While I was showering, I suddenly felt a bit awkward thinking that making a campus heartthrob who's always so admired like Gu Hao touch my used tissues was just plain weird, especially since they were soaked with milk. If it accidentally got on his hands, a strange but very vivid image popped into my head, making my face flush bright red. I mumbled a curse at myself and tried to push those ridiculous thoughts away. After my shower, I came out feeling refreshed and saw Gu Hao sitting on his phone. The dorm window was open, airing the room out so the milky smell was almost gone, and the tissues had all been cleaned up. I thanked him again quickly, blow-dried my hair, got dressed, and we headed straight to the cafeteria. It was peak time, so the cafeteria was crowded and buzzing with people. We found a place to sit and talked while we ate. Gu Hao was his usual quiet self, mostly just listening to my rambling stories. His cool demeanor attracted the gazes of quite a few people in the cafeteria, making him the center of attention as always. I stole a glance at him, a feeling of admiration swelling in my heart endlessly. Being roommates with someone so amazing is honestly the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. If only our relationship could be just a little bit closer. While I was lost in thought, I suddenly felt something wrong with my chest. At first I figured it was just some leftover leakage, but a few minutes later my face turned pale. Crap, my condition was acting up again, and this time it wasn't just a little leak, it was a full-on gush. In the loud, chaotic cafeteria, the unruly liquid started soaking through my shirt, leaking nonstop. I looked down at my light blue t-shirt and saw the front was now obviously wet. I hastily put down my chopsticks and hunched over, trying to use my posture to hide my embarrassment. Gu Hao, sitting across from me, twitched his nose slightly before looking up at me, his gaze sharp. Are you not feeling well, Mu-ran? I nodded, explaining anxiously in a low voice. Yeah, my condition flared up. I don't think I can control it this time. I can't stand up or else people will see. I'm sorry, you just keep eating, don't worry about me. Gu Hao frowned and stood up decisively. He pulled me to my feet and immediately pressed me close against his body, then quickly headed toward the restroom in the dining area. Every move was swift and efficient. On the way to the bathroom to deal with the mess, I clutched the hem of his shirt, feeling the curious stares of everyone around us. I said with a shaky voice, Gu Hao, people are going to see. Don't worry, just stay close to me. Yeah. I didn't dare think about everyone's stares, so I just buried my head in his chest and followed him, cautiously. Just like that, Gu Hao led me into the restroom. Thankfully, it was empty. He pushed me into the last stall and closed the door. Before I could even thank him, I was already frantically pulling tissues from my pocket, with one hand lifting my shirt while the other wiped me clean. The cold, wet skin hitting the air made me shiver slightly. I must have looked like a pathetic rain-drenched puppy. The guy standing silently beside me suddenly let out a chuckle. The sound was soft and deep, seeming to slip through the air. My face flushed crimson, and I was too embarrassed to even lift my head. The faster I tried to wipe, the more pressure I applied, but the liquid just seemed to pour out even more, completely out of my control. My shirt was soaked, and my hands started fumbling. Just when I was at a loss for what to do, Gu Hao's cool voice cut in, Mu-ran. Do you need me to help you clean that up? I looked up in a daze, my eyes locking with his deep, dark ones. He looked at me and said nonchalantly, If you do, then lift your shirt. I agreed. Besides, the smell in the public restroom was awful. Not even the fresh scent coming off of him could mask the stench. It was unbearable. So I obediently raised both hands and lifted my shirt as he asked. Gu Hao ordered in a cool tone, chest out, lean closer to me. I trembled, but did as he said. Immediately after, he took a tissue and began to clean me up. Unlike Gu Hao's firm physique and six-pack abs, I was completely useless. My stomach was doughy with only 2 faint muscle lines to show for it. For the sake of my last bit of manly pride, I couldn't just give up like that. So I took a deep breath and tried sucking in my stomach to flex, but Gu Hao didn't seem to notice. His hand just continued to wipe in a steady rhythm. His touch was so gentle, completely unlike my own careless wiping. It was so gentle it was almost unnerving. Especially his hands, they were long and slender with distinct knuckles and faint blue veins on the back, and when a little bit of the liquid accidentally got on them, those hands looked strangely captivating. Just one glance, and I felt like my entire body was on fire. A cold sweat beaded on my forehead, and I could hardly maintain my tough guy act anymore. But right at that moment, Gu Hao casually struck up a conversation. Does it leak this much every day? No, it's just suddenly a lot worse today. So have you ever tasted it to see what it tastes like? My face went bright red, and I rushed to deny it. Of course, not tasting your own stuff is just weird. It probably just tastes like regular milk, is that right? But why do I smell strawberries? No way. You must be smelling things. Even if it were true, I would never admit it. A strawberry scent. That sounds so cheesy. Gu Hao just gave a small laugh and said no more. He grabbed another tissue and continued to wipe at the problem area. That spot was incredibly sensitive. As he leaned in closer, his warm breath tickled my skin, sending constant shivers down my spine. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. I instinctively flinched back. Where are you going? He placed a hand on my waist to hold me in place, looked up, and his eyes met mine. Those deep dark eyes were burning with an intensity I couldn't comprehend. My face was burning, but I was also kinda annoyed, so I immediately stood still like a good boy. I wasn't trying to back away, it just tickled. It's almost over. Ugh, I didn't dare move an inch, just gritted my teeth and let him do his thing. After he kept wiping me down for a bit, I finally got back to normal, and my condition was under control. I pulled down my wrinkled t-shirt, but the moment the fabric touched my skin, the sticky feeling was super uncomfortable. But that was nothing. What really made me too embarrassed to even look up was what had just happened. I glanced over at Gu Hao, who was standing tall in front of the sink. I bit my lip and pulled my shirt and pants down, trying to hide everything. I almost exposed the fact that I like guys right in front of him. That's right, I'm a guy who likes other guys, and Gu Hao, the school's heartthrob, the golden boy, my cold roommate, is the guy I'm secretly in love with. He's not into girls and he's not into guys either, a true enigma in the dating world. Long story short, he's drop-dead gorgeous, so it's only natural for me to have a crush on him. I just never dared to show it because his sexuality is a total mystery. If you say he's gay, plenty of guys have confessed to him, but he clearly looked disgusted. If you say he's straight, his attitude towards girls is just as cold. But in the end, the possibility of Gu Hao being straight is still higher. I don't want him to hate me, and I don't want to test him, so I've always kept this feeling hidden, never daring to reveal it. I just wanted to be a normal roommate, someone who could chat, say hi, and secretly admire him from afar. But I never expected this weird illness would accidentally bring us closer. He didn't hate me, and he even took great care of me, which was more than I could ever hope for. So when he was cleaning me up earlier, my heart was going crazy. Half of my feelings for him rushed to my head, and the other half went south. I got so turned on I was afraid he'd notice, so I quickly backed away. Luckily, with what little self-control I had left, I managed to hold back and not expose myself otherwise. He probably would have been so shocked he'd shove me into the toilet to make me come to my senses. He could understand the illness, but my sexuality was a different story. Even if he's straight, a good guy can still be nice to other guys, but he could also be disgusted by gay people. So I decided to just be good and keep up my act. I tried to calm myself down, then went to wash the leftover milk stains off my hands. Since the wet patch on my shirt was super obvious, I knew we couldn't eat in the cafeteria. So Gu Hao and I avoided the crowd, went back to our room and ordered takeout. We ate and chatted, and the vibe was totally chill. That feeling made me so happy. I couldn't help but sneak a few more glances at Gu Hao, feeling incredibly joyful inside. That night I dreamed about him again. This time the dream was even bolder than the last one, and just as vivid. In the dream, Gu Hao pinned me against the cafeteria bathroom door, and without a word, he leaned down. Then he whispered in my ear, satisfied, "It really is strawberry flavored." I wrapped my arms around his neck, feeling his masculine scent completely overpower the smell of the bathroom, and my whole body felt light as air. The next morning when my alarm went off, my heart was still racing. Hearing him get out of bed, I couldn't help but curse myself. Why am I such a perv? Isn't having a secret crush on Gu Hao enough? Do I have to be this shameless even in my dreams? But what if Gu Hao actually wanted to drink it? I bit my lip in embarrassment and buried my face in my pillow. After that bathroom incident, my relationship with Gu Hao progressed really fast. Just a few days later, we started hanging out together. When my condition suddenly flared up in class, he'd go with me to the bathroom to handle it. He'd help me clean up, fix my clothes, and cover for me while I changed my soaked t-shirt. And if I forgot to wash it, he'd just do it for me. Even though I knew he was probably just being a good friend, I still felt so happy. I felt like it didn't even matter if this weird illness ever went away, because as long as I could get a little attention from Gu Hao, I was fine with being sick forever. But then I started to realize something was wrong. Sometimes the tissues I used would just strangely disappear, especially the ones I used in our dorm room. I hadn't even thrown them away yet, but when I came back from the bathroom, they would be gone. I just figured he was being nice and cleaning up for me, so I didn't think much of it. Until one day when I was doing laundry, Gu Hao was in the shower after playing basketball, and only his old jacket was draped over a chair. It had a few faint white stains on it. Yesterday, when I had an episode, I accidentally got some on him. I was so embarrassed and was about to help him wipe it off. But Gu Hao grabbed my wrist and said, "It's fine." Every time I remember his warm hand, my face gets all hot. So I just decided to wash the jacket for him. As I was habitually going through the pockets to check for any valuables, I accidentally touched two hard, dry objects. I pulled them out in a daze and looked down. They were the tissues that I had used. The milk on them had dried hard and they had a faint smell. Didn't Gu Hao say he'd thrown all these dirty tissues away? Why were they in his pocket? Did he just forget to throw them out? I froze my mind, a total mess. Just then, the bathroom door opened, and Gu Hao walked towards me. Maybe because he saw what I was holding. He suddenly stopped in his tracks. I held up the tissues and looked at him confused. I saw his face suddenly tense up. "Gu Hao, didn't you say you were going to throw these away?" "Here it is. Why can't I throw it away? I don't want to throw it away." "Why? Because I think it smells good. I want to keep smelling it," he replied, staring at me as if he would come up with another reason the moment I frowned. But how can I be mad at him? I just felt a bit shy and said, "What does it smell like?" "You said it was strawberry, but I've never had it, so I'm not sure." After saying that, his eyes glanced down at my chest. The meaning was clear. I suddenly choked on my words, and after a moment I managed to say something. He didn't say anything else, and the atmosphere suddenly became strangely awkward. It took me a while to regain my composure and throw the dirty scraps into the trash. Then with that cold and straightforward gaze, I walked away slowly. I looked up at him, who was half a head taller than me, with a hint of fragility, youthfulness, and unrefined charm. "Gu Hao, I think I'm about to get sick. Can you help me wipe a bit?" Gu Hao lowered his eyes to look at me, his gaze sharp, both cold and stern, as he neatly arranged someone else's clothes. I lay on the bed, my mind a bit hazy, still echoing in my ears. Gu Hao's wet and hoarse voice. It's quite sweet. It felt just like in my dreams. I felt like there was something in my head. I couldn't tell if it was a guitar string or a wind chime being played with by a beautiful large hand making a tinkling sound. Is Gu Hao really heterosexual? Can a heterosexual person do such overly ambiguous things, or is he just curious and wants to try it once? I don't know, I can't guess, but this is definitely a very good start. I could take this opportunity to probe him, pursue him, and maybe even make him change. Who knows, there might be some interesting surprises. I happily rubbed my pillow, unable to stop smiling. Clatter. The bed frame was knocked twice. I lifted the bed curtain and saw Gu Hao standing under the bed. He looked satisfied, a bit tired and very cheerful. He patted my head. "There's still plenty of hot water. Do you want to take a shower?" I shook my head. "I already showered when I got back. I don't want to waste water. Besides," I shyly brushed my hand against his. "Besides, it seems like nothing came out earlier pretty clean." "Not clean," he added, his voice carrying a rare teasing tone. "But my saliva hasn't been wiped off." My face immediately turned bright red. The possibility of Gu Hao being gay is definitely over 50%. When Daizhang and the others returned to the dorm, I had already finished showering and was lying on the bed. I was secretly watching Gu Hao busy on the other side through the bed curtain. When Daizhang hummed as he walked by, he suddenly stopped. "Guo, bro, why do you smell like milk?" "Just drank a lot," he replied coldly. My eyelashes fluttered slightly. It really seemed like a lot. Daizhang continued to ask, "Damn it, the last time I shared a pack of plain yogurt with you that you rejected, I still remember it clearly. Do you like it now? Drinking milk and sharing it with someone? Wait a minute, it must be strawberry milk. Did Moonyan give it to you?" "Yeah, it really is mine," Gu Hao nodded. "All right, you two are having too much fun lately, leaving us lonely. Moonyan, you're so cute, I want to drink your strawberry milk too. Give me a pack." After Daizhang finished speaking, he tried to lift my bed curtain to look for food, but immediately he was kicked by Gu Hao without mercy. "What the hell are you drinking? Go buy it yourself," Daizhang complained in frustration, but as soon as Gu Hao shot him a glance, he immediately fell silent, making a face of lament, saying a few lines about dull friendship, having a new stepmother, and so on. I felt my face burning, hugging the blanket tightly, my mind in a mess, just wanting Gu Hao to drink. So I almost never encountered awkward situations with wet clothes anymore. Whenever I had an episode, Gu Hao was very sensitive. He would actively offer to help me. I listened obediently, very well behaved, and secretly delighted. But after a few times like that, I started to worry about my previously vague thoughts, because he seemed like a pervert, very aggressive, very excessive, which scared me a lot. Until one night I didn't have an episode, lying on the bed, resting all day. The lights in the dorm were off. Only the loud snoring of Daizhang remained. As I was drowsily preparing to sleep, I felt the bed shake slightly, as if someone was climbing onto it. I opened my eyes and saw Gu Hao lifting my bed curtain. In the dim light, his figure was very clear. He seemed to be shirtless, only holding a phone to illuminate. I rubbed my eyes and quietly asked, "Gu Hao, what's wrong?" "Thirsty." "Oh, if you're thirsty, go drink some water. I'm too sleepy. My head is so tired. I keep yawning." But after a while, I suddenly realized something. I opened my eyes wide and saw him kneeling on one knee on my bed. I panicked. "You, Gu Hao, Daizhang, and everyone else are still here. Besides, I didn't have an episode today." In response, I heard the loud snoring of Zhuang and Gu Hao's cold command. He pulled my shirt up and stuffed it straight into my mouth. But I'm thirsty. Suck on your shirt, suck hard, don't let it out. His voice was cold and rude. Hao pulled the soaked shirt off and sat down beside me. Why are you crying? After saying that, he took a tissue to wipe my face. I wanted to avoid it but didn't dare. I gathered all my remaining courage and quietly scolded him. Gu Hao, what you're doing is a bit too much. Too much where boys do things like this. What things? It's exactly what you just did. It's too ambiguous. Only lovers do that. You're not gay, so people will misunderstand. I scolded while probing, afraid he would refute or show disgust. But he didn't change his expression, taking another tissue to wipe the drool under my chin. I am, huh. At that moment, I couldn't react in time. He said, I am gay. Gu Hao repeated it, his tone cold and emotionless. At this moment, I was truly stunned. You like boys? My voice was so surprised that it was a bit loud, causing Daizhang's snoring to stop for a moment. I quickly calmed down and quietly asked, but didn't you refuse so many confessions from other guys? If you don't like them, you should refuse not every guy. Gu Hao, you're going a bit too far. Too far where it's just guys being guys. What do you mean? It's exactly what you just did. It's too ambiguous. Only a boyfriend would do that. You're not gay. Doing that makes people misunderstand. I scolded while probing, afraid he would retort or show disgust. But he didn't change his expression, grabbing another tissue to wipe the drool off my chin. I am, huh. At that moment, I couldn't react. He said, I am gay. Gu Hao repeated it, his tone cold and emotionless. I was really stunned at that point. You like guys? My voice was so surprised it came out a bit loud, causing Daizhang's snoring to pause for a moment. I quickly calmed down and quietly asked, but didn't you reject so many confessions from guys? If you don't like them, you should turn them down. Not every guy I liked it. And at that moment, I was both happy and disappointed. Gu Hao, so if you're gay doing that stuff to me every day, aren't you afraid I'd get the wrong idea? Gu Hao didn't answer but asked me back, what about you, Mu Ran Yu? Let me mess with you every single day. Aren't you afraid I'd get the wrong idea? Or maybe you actually want me to do it. I blinked, totally speechless, but Gu Hao's eyes were locked on me, in the dim shadows of the room. I could faintly see this undisguised craving in his eyes. The feeling was so overwhelming I couldn't hold back anymore, so I grabbed his hand and whispered my confession. I want this because I like guys too. I was scared you were homophobic, so I never dared to say anything. I can't believe we're the same. I can bring you water when you're playing ball and give you strawberry milk every day. So Gu Hao, if you don't have someone you like and you don't hate me, can I pursue you? You like me, yeah, I admitted it. Gu Hao went silent, his eyes deep and dark as ink while I was getting anxious. Then he said coldly, sure you can pursue me, but you don't have to. I just froze, thinking this was some kind of special rejection. My heart sank and I turned to move away from him, but Gu Hao grabbed my chin and chuckled. Are you mad I meant you can pursue me? But there's no need to waste time on that boring process because I'm already saying yes. Muran, I'm your boyfriend now. This whole thing was like a roller coaster, and after all the ups and downs, it finally came to a stop. I stammered, boyfriend. Yeah, I am. Gu Hao gently kissed my cheek, confirming his answer. I thought I had some weird illness and my life was about to be turned upside down. But who knew I'd get this lucky and actually win over my cold roommate? I was over the moon, and all the excitement made my condition act up again, ruining my sleep and making a huge mess. Hearing the snores of Zhuang, Gu Hao whispered all sorts of dirty things into my ear. I just trembled and nodded, and finally, in a total daze, I realized the truth. That wasn't strawberry milk. I figured Gu Hao must have a problem with his sense of taste. When he went to take a shower, I accidentally brushed it against his phone next to the pillow. I'd never touched his phone before, just to be polite. But now that we're boyfriends, one little peek couldn't hurt, right? I unlocked the screen and completely froze. The wallpaper was a photo of me from freshman year. I was just innocently sleeping at my desk with marks from the tabletop on my face. When did he secretly take this picture and make it his wallpaper? Suddenly, my heart started pounding. I wasn't the one who successfully pursued Gu Hao. He had been planning this all along, just waiting to bait me, wanting me this whole time. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker, even letting him mess with me and confessing first. I was so angry and embarrassed. Gu Hao, that conniving, manipulative guy,